I see as still self-defensive. We were attacked. We didn't run over and attack any Islamic country or any training camps. Well, we did hit a few of those in Afghanistan a long time ago. But I mean,
Right.
more or less, we took no major act of war against the Islamic fundamentalists. They certainly did come after us. So
let me address how they have been addressing that, if I may, okay? Let me take a sip of water here because we're doing some industrial strength here.
Are you?
Okay. This is how they have expressed, to the best of my ability to express it right now, and again, people can actually read it all for themselves. What they have said is this, and they foretold this before the strike in Afghanistan. They said that to arbitrarily launch attacks that will go into countries and result in the deaths of lots of innocent people and will ultimately, more than likely, not result in capturing the perpetrators is terrorism in and of itself. Well, how are we supposed to deal with this? And here's what they said. You, in your world, need what is known as a true global combat-peace force. And that means armed, trained military personnel
Who will beat the peace into people.
No, I mean, it's. I guess that's a lovely way to put it, isn't it?
Yes.
You're going to love me or else you've had it. Well, what they're saying about it actually is that if this force is drawn equally from all peoples on the planet and operates under a true international legal structure with a true international court, whereby there is no party and no nation that is immune from the laws and the enforcement of it. This international armed peacekeeping or peace combat force is empowered to go and pursue any and all terrorists, dictators, revolutionary forces, warmongers, wherever they may be. Once they are identified, they are sent en masse to go get them. Now, they specify...
But, Michael, some of the way they put it, the way it was said, sounds like it comes right out of an Al-Qaeda pamphlet on why we hate America. Because America is going to come and do this to countries and do that to countries and seek out people and kill many innocent civilians. I mean, that could have come right out of an Al-Qaeda pamphlet almost.
This is where we go back to something about what is true and what isn't. Now, that may or may not be true. I'm not going to tell you this is true. We have to decide this for ourselves. I'm not going to back away from saying...
No, don't back away from anything. I'm just telling you what it sounds like.
Okay, but here's the thing. Our enemies can also be right about things. That's the unpleasant thing. Just like we can be right about things about our enemies, and they're not going to like it. We have, in my opinion, we've got an illusion that just because we are powerful and successful and strong, and we most of us aspire to the good, we champion it, we can do no wrong, or we would do no wrong.
But it almost sounds like America turns into a sudden Nazi Germany, a power, laying down colonial lines for themselves all over the place and taking over the world. That's how they're making it sound.
And there are those who have certainly published adequately to present that point of view, that it is something that our country, our military, our secret governments, whatever, have done. We've interfered in the affairs of countries everywhere.
All right. Hold it right there. We're at the break point. And shortly after we come back, I'm going to turn this over to all of you. It seems to me like you might have a thing or two you want to say to Michael Horn. I mean, this is impressive and interesting. And very concerning. No, that's fine. Kevin in Richmond, Virginia, for example, says, after reading several of the documents on theyfly.com, it seems to me that Billy Meier is an anti-American activist. Why doesn't he attack the Islamic states for being the homicidal maniacs that they are?
Well, he has written about that, and he's called them, depraved and murderous and the fanatics. Now, not all of Islam, because they've also distinguished...
No, of course not all of Islam. Everybody knows that. Not right now. But...
They talked about the fanatics, the people who... And he's criticized Yasser Arafat and the Palestinians, the Israelis, the Iraqis, when the war in Yugoslavia was going on, they were calling all these people wannabe Rambos and insane people. I'm focusing on this stuff because this now is the information that appears and is here for us to either disregard. If we don't like it, we can just ignore it.
I know.
Or we can find out if it's true, and then what do we do about it? We're hearing about this for a reason. We're not just here to entertain. This isn't an entertainment.
No. I understand. All right. I've got people waiting to talk to you, and I'm going to get them on the air, but just let's be sure we've got all of this now.
There is something that I'd like to cover first, because as long as we're getting into this unpleasant stuff...
No, go ahead.
Let's do it, and here it goes. In addition, apocalyptic natural catastrophes will occur which will cause all of Europe to shake and tremble. But Europe will continue to exist even after having suffered enormous destruction. Far in the West, it will be different. The U.S. of A. will be a country of total destruction. The cause for this will be manifold. With her global conflicts, which are continuously instigated by her and which will continue far into the future, America is creating enormous hatred against her worldwide in many countries. As a result, America will experience enormous catastrophes which will reach proportions barely imaginable to human beings of Earth. The destruction of the WTC, i.e., the World Trade Center, by terrorists will only be the beginning. 1987, Art and listeners. Okay? Now, it goes on. But you want to come out swinging, come out swinging. This is what they wrote. And what they have basically said is, in the simplest sense, if we want to avoid this befalling us, we pull out of Iraq, and every place where we have troops stationed, we bring them home and we straighten out our own country. We defend ourselves from here if necessary. And, a totally other state of mind for a lot of people who think we are entitled, because we're Americans, to be everywhere with 102 military bases all over the world. Well, we're being told by somebody else who doesn't care a hoot about what we think about it, no, that's going to get your country destroyed, because the rest of the world in time is coming against you.
I have a question for you, Michael.
Yeah.
You say all this with quite a passion, so much passion that a person listening like myself might believe that these are your views as well as the views that you're relating.
These are my fears that it's true.
Well, are they also your views?
I'll tell you what my views are, and they've been for some time. My views are that we have indeed interfered and continue to interfere in the business of other countries. Mm-hmm. I don't have this sense personally. I don't know that this is going to result in this, but to me, on the level of the laws of cause and effect, the pendulum goes out and it comes back. It comes back the way it comes back, not the way I think it should or the way I like it or don't like it.
But when somebody knocks down two of the biggest buildings in the biggest city in your country,
right?
Why you tend to react, and that's what we've done. We've reacted.
We've reacted, but what we're being told, and people can argue with it, and I'm sure they do, we have to find out who was responsible. Now, the perpetrators, the original perpetrators, are all dead. Who was behind it? Can you identify those people? What the play are saying is, yeah, you've got to get these people. Terrorism does have to be stopped, but it's a technique. It's a means of fighting that, in their point of view, we are simply pouring gasoline on embers and recruiting more people because of what becomes indiscriminate art. I think we'd all have to admit that we don't see the nightly news from Iraq. We don't see our soldiers coming home in coffins. We don't see the damage to them over there, to the Iraqis. We are now having a sanitized, controlled media. Maybe, just maybe, it isn't the way we're being told it is. And do we want to look at it? Do we want to find out if these... See, in terms of this case, this is the Meier case we're looking at.
Well, if you're saying, do we propagandize our own people? Yes, of course we do. Every country on earth does that to their own people and the world at large as much as they're able.
Sure. And
we do that.
Yes. And what these people have said, remember I said there was a counterbalancing body of information. All of this doom and gloom and horror we're talking about here, they are saying there are operating principles for human development. You're not the only humans in this universe. You're not the only ones at this stage. You're not the only ones who've gotten through it or those who didn't get through it and have to start over. But if you do not grasp the right rules of conduct, you will have to start over. This is what they've said. If America does not withdraw from Iraq and these other things, and Britain, and they've blasted Blair and all that. They have said we will lose 2/3 of our population on this planet